Hello, my name is Gabriella, and I'm a master's student researching breast cancer at McGill University in Montreal. In this video, we will be exploring cancer on a molecular level, from its origins through one or more mutations in a single cell, to the development of a tumor through cell division. So what is cancer? Cancer is a group of genetic diseases in which mutations in a cell's genetic material lead to out-of-control cell division and invasion in nearby tissue. Normally, cells grow and divide in a highly regulated way, and only undergo cell division in specific circumstances, for example, as a response to injury or as we are growing. However, genetic changes, that is, mutations in the DNA, may allow it to grow and divide without restriction. When the cell divides without control, it can form an abnormal group of cells called a tumor. If this group of cells is able to invade other tissues, we say that it is malignant or cancerous. Sometimes cells can grow and divide to form tumors that do not invade other tissues. These tend to cause less damage and are called benign tumors. Now you may be thinking, if cancer is a genetic disease, can I inherit it from my parents? In the vast majority of cases, the answer is no. While the terms genetic and hereditary are often used interchangeably, they do not necessarily mean the same thing. Traits are passed from parent to child via germ cells, which become either eggs or sperm. If a mutation occurs in a germ cell, the mutation can be passed on from parents to the child, creating what is known as a hereditary disease. Some cancers are hereditary, but these tend to be rare compared to other types of cancers. In fact, only 5 to 10% of all cancers are inherited. You might be familiar with the phrase family history of cancer, which is directly referencing these hereditary cancer cases. So let's take ovarian and breast cancer as an example. Some families have an increased risk of ovarian or breast cancer due to mutations in genes called BRCA1 or BRCA2 that are passed on from parents to children. This family tree, known as a pedigree in scientific terms, shows how 3 individuals in this family, namely the grandmother, the daughter, and a granddaughter, are affected by either ovarian or breast cancer due to the presence of a BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation in their DNA. Conversely, cells other than our reproductive cells are called somatic cells. Somatic cells include neurons, blood cells, and muscle cells, to name a few. The genetic material of these cells is not passed on from parents to child. In other words, if a mutation occurs in an individual's somatic cell, the mistake will not affect their children, as it did not occur in a cell involved in reproduction. Thus, taking into account both hereditary and non-hereditary cases, cancer is described as a genetic disease, since it's due to errors occurring in our genetic material. So how do we develop mutations? Cancer may develop from multiple factors that cause repeated damage to cells. Usually, cells are very good at repairing themselves. But every once in a while, damage causes mutations that aren't fixed. Think tobacco exposure and lung cancer, or UV light and skin cancer. But by far the biggest risk factor for cancer is age. According to the latest statistics from the Canadian Cancer Society, most cancer diagnoses occurred in people older than 65. Bars, whether blue for males or green for females, indicate the percentage of new cancer cases per age group. Cumulatively, the age-specific incidence of cancer per 100,000 people demonstrates the dramatic increase in cancer rates with age. Why is that? Well, throughout life, cell division occurs. This is a process known as mitosis, in which a cell duplicates its genetic material and splits into 2, effectively creating a copy of itself. Every time a cell divides, hundreds of thousands of mistakes occur. Now you may be thinking that this is such a high number. Well, this rate is almost insignificant compared to the fact that the size of our genome is on the scale of 3 billion. Plus, our cells have proofreading and repair mechanisms to, as the name implies, detect and correct these potential mutations. Yet, some mistakes slip through, and this is when cancer may develop. So, if over the course of our lives cells divide and mutations happen, why don't we all eventually develop cancer? This is because normal healthy cells are restricted by the number of times they can divide. So with age, cell division slows and cells are likely to reach a state in which they are biologically active but can no longer divide. This is known as cellular senescence, and it was first thought to have evolved to prevent tumor growth. At the time, researchers hypothesized that if there's less cell division, then less cells to form a tumor mass. Though counterintuitive, this was found to not be the case. If cells escape from the state of senescence, they may be highly susceptible to cancer development. It is at this point that mutations in aged cells have accumulated, and cancer cells restore rapid cell division, leading to tumor formation. In contrast to normal healthy cells, cancer cells have the capacity to divide indefinitely, otherwise said to be immortal. But do not fret. There are many ways that cancer is treated to target it on a molecular level and create the best outcomes for those affected by the disease. The most utilized treatment strategies focus on the rapid cell division property of cancer cells in order to shrink the tumor. Chemotherapy is the use of drugs to shrink the tumor. Not only will cancer cells be killed, but other rapidly dividing cells, like the cells that make hair. There's also radiation therapy, which is the use of a device that emits a beam of radiation. This radiation is directed at the tumor in order to shrink it, while sparing normal tissue on the periphery. So hopefully, as we have gone through what is cancer, how it develops, and how to treat it, we have provided you a better understanding of cancer on a molecular level. For more information, visit the Canadian Cancer Society online at cancer.ca.